Hi, we're going to look at circles today, mainly the properties of circles, how to find the circumference and how to find the area. I will talk throughout the presentation, so it's up to you if you want to listen to that or if you want to put your laptop on mute and just go through it yourself, like at your own speed. But I'll just be explaining a little bit more about what's on the screen. So first of all, we'll start with looking at the circumference of a circle. As you can see here, it's just the green line, which is all the way around the edge of the circle. An arc is basically it's a little portion of the circumference. The arc would be anywhere on the circle, it doesn't have to be in that exact position. The centre of the circle is just the most central point, so it's just right in the middle. The radius is the distance or the length from the centre of the circle to the circumference. Again, that could be anywhere, as long as it connects the centre to the circumference, that could be anywhere in the circle. The diameter is the distance all the way across from one side to the other, but it must pass through the centre of the circle. It's important to note for later on that the diameter is twice the length of the radius. The next few slides aren't quite as important properties, but they are still important to learn or just know in the back of your head because you could be asked to name them in a test. So the chord is a straight line which connects 2 points on the circumference together. A tangent is a straight line which touches the circumference of the circle at some point, but the line must be on the outside of the circle. Segment is basically just a little portion of the circle, but it doesn't pass through the centre, it's just enclosed by a chord and an arc. And a sector is just a section of the circle that is enclosed by 2 radii, which is what we call multiple radius, and an arc. Here we have just a summary of circles and just like a table which shows you them all. Oh, it's going to go through now. Oh. So this summary will be shown again at the end of the presentation, where we have a whole summary section just explaining everything, and those are the most important slides really. This is just a more in-depth version. Now we're going to have a look at finding the area of a circle. There's a formula on screen there which is, it's not too clear, but it's a pi times r squared. Pi is just a symbol which you get on your calculator. It's roughly equal to 3.14, but in most cases you could use a calculator and just type it in. R stands for the radius, and you just have to square it in this formula. This is a really important formula as well as the circumference one, so you do need to memorise it. So when you're asked to do it in a test, for example, or in a lesson, it probably wouldn't be given to you, so you'd have to remember what formula you're doing and how to plug the numbers in. We'll do an example now, so there's the formula again. So to find the area of a circle with a radius of 4 centimetres. So if we plug in r equals 4 into the formula at the top, we get area equals pi times 4 squared. Now 4 squared equals 16, so that's the same as pi times 16, which is 16 pi. Now we just need to plug that formula into the calculator and you get approximately this value at the bottom, 50.24, and then you have to remember to put the measurement afterwards, which is centimetres. Now your teacher might ask you a harder question and they might give you the diameter instead of the radius, and in that case what we have to do is find the radius. Now if you remember me saying it was important earlier, the diameter is twice the length of the radius. So if we're given the diameter size, we just need to split it in half and halve it to find the radius, and then we can substitute that into the normal formula. Here's an example. So the diameter is 10 centimetres and we need to find the radius. So we divide that by 2 and that gives us 5 centimetres. Now that's all we have to do, and now we can just plug it into the formula like we did in the last example. So pi times 5 squared, pi times, oh that should be 25, sorry. So 25 pi, that wouldn't equal 62.8. I will change that, that's wrong, sorry. But the actual answer should be 78.5 centimetres. Now we'll move on to find the circumference, and it's the exact same as before, but we just have to use a different formula. This formula is 2 pi r. Now they are quite similar formulas, so it's easy to get them confused, but we just need to remember those, and we've got a summary at the end, and as long as we can remember what they are and remember when to use them, it's all fine. Here's an example. So if the radius was 12 centimetres, the radius is what we want, so we don't have to halve it or anything to do with the diameter. So we do 2 times pi times 12, which is the same as pi times 24. And we've got the 24 there by just timesing the 2 and the 12 together. That's 24 pi, which equals 75.36. There we are. So again, they might ask you a question including the diameter instead of the radius. And in the same format as before, we just need to find the radius. Sorry about that, I'll just carry on recording now. It's just been a little bit slow moving on to the next slide. Okay, so now we'll do an example where we're given the diameter instead. So here we have a circle with diameter 6. Now remember that's 2 times the radius, so we'll just divide it by 2 to get 3 centimetres. And I'll plug this into the formula at the top. So 2 times pi times 3 is the same as pi times 6, which is 6 pi, and we just plug pi and 6 into the calculator and we get 18.84 centimetres. So that's everything, that's all the topics covered. Now we just have a quick summary, look over what we saw before. These are the important things we need to know. Ooh, circle at the top. So like I said before, I'd say the top 4 properties there are the most important, but the other ones you should know the names of and what they are in case you get asked it in a test. But you shouldn't be asked any questions on how to calculate the bottom ones. And here are the formulas which you needed to know earlier. So we just need to remember those, try not to get them confused, and then we can plug all the values in the questions and we'll get the answers. There we are, that's everything we need to know.